Welcome in, everybody. I'm Will.
I'm Matt.
And today, we have to talk about Bristol. It's the shifter.
I don't have a shifter. We gotta fix that.
All right, well, we finally got a good short track race in the next gen, didn't we?
Damn, it's been forever, but holy hell. Did we deliver? This race ruled.
It did. Would you guys believe it if I told you we had 54 lead changes at Bristol? Not only the most in Bristol history, but the most in NASCAR short track history.
And would you believe it if I told you, especially, maybe a year ago, that in a next-gen race, we would walk away, finally, talking about tires. Oh my God, Goodyear delivered. I know that, I cannot remember the guy's name, but like the president of Goodyear.
Yeah.
I know he felt like it was too much. I'm sorry. I don't. And apparently NASCAR doesn't feel that way either. Apparently they were very happy with the tire that Goodyear brought. So for the first time, and look, this is sacrilege for me as a Tony Stewart fan. Good job, Goodyear. This was awesome.
No, but I thought it was really funny during the race because Tommy Joe Martin's a former Xfinity and truck driver. He owns Alpha Prime now. He tweeted out the Homelander meme of Goodyear.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying Goodyear when everybody's applauding them.
So for a minute, we're going to talk about what actually happened in this race, the big comers and goers, and specifically some people who have risen through the point standings and a couple unfortunate people who have dropped in the point standings. We'll get to them. But the big overarching thing this week is not even the race that we got, but more what it means for the sport going forward. Because the on-track product, Jeff Gluck's, was it a good race poll? I'm pretty sure it's like a 90-10 split right now.
It was 88% to 12%.
Yeah.
Did you hear, just to describe the drivers, some of the drivers enjoyed this race. Some of them, like Kyle Larson, didn't want to ever do it again. But
there's a greater conversation there to be had about Kyle Larson, yeah. I will say.
But you're Josh Berry, who we'll get to more later, because he had an amazing race for him in that 4 team very early on. That's a great sign.
My girlfriend really liked that car, by the way. She kind of picked Josh Berry as her guy.
I know some people were pissed off because Mike Joy went on talking about Taylor Swift and how that was
whatever,
classmate. He was trying to highlight Josh Berry, and that helps Josh Berry's image. But for Josh Berry, he radioed in, God, I love this shit. This is the most fun I've ever had in a stock car. So I think a lot of the drivers really loved it. I know Denny Hamlin loved it. We'll get to him more later.
And another guy that really loved it, you mentioned Denny Hamlin, so talking about Dirty Mo Media, but Tyler Reddick, who obviously had many issues throughout this race, even he was talking about how much fun he was having and how much he enjoyed the race. So, when a guy who gets trapped many laps down and ends up running like 30th around there, I think he finished, 29th?
He finished 30th, exactly. Okay, because
so,
the other car finished 29th.
Yeah, that's right. But so, when guys that are running 30th are talking about how fun of a race it is, you've got you've got lightning in the bottle at that point because the drivers like it, the fans like it, and for the most part, it seemed like NASCAR officials liked it. So
the thing that I found aesthetically really interesting about this race is watching the race and watching just the marbles form around the top of the track.
Man,
that was really cool because I haven't seen anything like that in years. I used to see that at Old Martinsville all the time. I remember all the marbles stack up, but this was even more relevant. I think it might have been Jeff Gluck again that went up to the top of the track and had all the marbles in his hand, and it just looked crazy.
Yeah, you talk about the marbles, and that adds another strategical element to the race, which we'll talk about strategy and what it means for racing going forward and why things like this are good for the sport. But it adds another element of strategy of you don't want to go to the top of the racetrack because that's where all the marbles ended up being. They would kind of just move up the racetrack.
And it kind of allowed for really cool racing. We'll get into it more in a second where the middle, right in the middle, and you kind of hang on the guy, almost like you were side drafting, but you're not.
Yeah.
You just hang on the guy. But let's get into the race just a little bit before we get into more of the comers and goers and the point standings and the Goodyear drama or not drama, depending on who you are. Because I know a couple people didn't like this race, and we'll get into that too. Yeah. We'll play devil's advocate. But this race actually starts off with Josh Berry started on the front row second. Ryan Blaney won the pole. So you're thinking maybe this is finally Ford's week, but it was not.
No, it wasn't. But you mentioned him, though. We got to talk about Josh Berry. Absolute breakout performance from Josh Berry. I think for the most part, a lot of people probably saw this somewhat coming. Not necessarily him running up at the front of the field for as long as he did, but he's a short track guy. He's gonna be strong at Bristol. But early in the race, there's one name we got to talk about, and it's the guy that you picked to win this race in the preseason, Ty Gibbs. Arguably the driver of the race.
Yeah, he actually didn't take the lead until the middle portion, actually, because of Josh Berry, Chase Elliott, and Bubba Wallace were ahead for a lot of the beginning.
Yeah, but then, once Ty Gibbs got there, I felt like he was – how many laps did he lead?
115, I believe,
Yeah, he
somewhere
led
in
a
there.
good
I
portion of
don't
his
know.
race.
I know for a long time he had led the most laps, but I don't know if Denny wound up getting him in the end. I think he did. But yes, I think if tires were not as much of a factor as they were in this race, I have no doubt in my mind Ty Gibbs wins this race.
Yeah.
Probably. It probably is a Ty Gibbs-Denny battle. Chase showed speed without the tires. Bubba, again, showed speed before the tires went bad. Kyle Busch, another one we got to highlight, dropping like a rock in points. We talked about him the first 2 weeks of the season, looking like maybe Championship Kyle was back. And maybe the super speedway facade just kind of...
Yeah, and we talk about drivers who excel in a situation where it really is a little bit more, it's more in their hands and out of their hands at the same time. Because, yeah, when you have to deal with tire wear or any, you know what, I'll just go ahead and go on my little tangent. So I saw some people, specifically guys like Kyle Larson, upset that when you have a tire like this that wears like crazy, it takes the race out of the driver's hands. I 100% disagree. Racing has always been about battling the conditions around you, whether that be the cars, the track, or the condition of your own car. You watch any race from the 90s to 2000s, really up until recently, very recently, even the Gen 6 car, handling was a problem, and for a good portion of that, tires would be too. That's part of racing, that's part of strategy, and that's how you get difference in lap times and gaps being cut, people deciding to push at different times and things like that. So while obviously Kyle Larson has more talent in his pinky toe than I have in my entire body, I don't buy into anything he's saying. And I will say it is time to maybe have a discussion that Kyle Larson might have more raw talent than anybody in the field, but I'm not saying that this driver I'm going to bring up is better than Kyle Larson. That would be ridiculous. But a guy who might have better racecraft might be a guy like Alex Bowman, who showed, honestly, in my opinion, that when you take the race a little bit out of the driver's hands and make them battle other conditions, Bowman did a solid job today.
Yeah, he did. I don't know that I'd go that far as to what you just said, but...
Better racecraft than Kyle Larson. I'm not saying outright, but I'm saying they're not as far off as you'd think.
I'm going to pose this to you as a... We need to have a little argument on the show sometimes. We haven't done it before.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman grew up on the asphalt doing this on short tracks. Kyle Larson grew up doing dirt. I think this is the type of race. Kevin Harvick did a great job. Kevin Harvick was great on the broadcast. But he did a great job of highlighting that this is really going to play into the guys that grew up driving the late models.
Absolutely.
That's what the Cars Tour is all about. I don't know how many of you guys out there watch the Cars Tour races. Great product. But that's what guys like Carson Quaffle and even like Josh Berry do every single weekend. And then when Junior comes back, he's really good at that. And that's how he's able to run good in the races. But that's why guys like Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, guys that grew up doing that excelled. And then they even had to do it in the Gen 4 era. Because this wasn't NASCAR. I mean, not to this extent. Because this was like over a line a little bit of anything we've ever seen in NASCAR. But this is what they do in the late model series every single week. And that's what Alex Bowman grew up doing.
Absolutely.
That's not what Kyle Larson grew up doing. So this is a totally foreign world to Kyle Larson. The fact that he got a top 5 just shows me how his racecraft can be adapted. But Kyle Larson's a guy that likes to hang it on the edge like a dirt guy, like a Clint Boyer, like a Tyler Reddick, which is why I'm kind of honestly surprised that Tyler Reddick enjoyed this, and that says a lot about him just enjoying learning new forms of racing. And Christopher Bell, he was the first Gibbs car to fall off, another dirt guy. So, again, I'm not going to go as far as to say that Kyle Larson's racecraft isn't as good as Alex Bowman's, because this is just a different discipline of racing than what Kyle Larson has done in his entire life or career. So
is it possible that maybe Alex Bowman's racecraft is a little more second nature? Because you talk about the background, so maybe that's it. Maybe it's that the asphalt guys, it's more second nature to them, and maybe they view that more as just being a natural part of racing. So the dirt guys, maybe that's not just a part of their world. So I think you posed an interesting point there, but I will say this, and Kevin Harvick talked about it on the broadcast. You've talked about how great Kevin Harvick was. Guy on my hat right here. Really good at saving tires. He won a lot of races.
I'll go as first to the best. Clint Boyer said he was the best.
Tony was a wizard with tires. It was actually nuts.
Clint Boyer has told this story a billion times on the broadcast, but this time it really resonated. His first time at Martinsville, went out, blew the doors off Tony Stewart on the first lap of the run, and was just pulling away from him. He's like, "Yeah, I got this, boys." That's his exact words. 50 laps later, Tony Stewart was in the lead, putting the lap down.
So, you know what? I won't walk back what I said, just because I don't want to be like a fence sitter. I don't want to be boring here, but I will say I think a guy like Alex Bowman, it probably is a little bit more second nature to him to understand going into a race. Like, we got to save the equipment.
Also,
here.
for Tony Stewart, he did spend like almost 5 years running late models before his first start in the Busch Series. So he did get that. Kyle Larson never even did that. So
yeah, no. So I mean, again, what I don't want people to hear is that I just said Alex Bowman is a better race car driver than Kyle Larson. That's nuts. But when we talk about race craft, managing equipment, I don't think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world to inquire that maybe he's got him a little bit beat there. Maybe it's a little bit more second nature. But Kyle Larson also had a really strong run. I'm just talking more about the opinion. So I think maybe it's just not quite second nature to him.
Just one more thing before we get off this. I mean, a guy that really struggled today, a guy that we think is great at Bristol, maybe not many other places, but Ricky Stenhouse normally runs top 5 at Bristol. He couldn't keep the tires on the car. Another dirt background guy.
And talking about Kyle Larson, we saw the raw talent his entire time in the 42, but it was, for the most part, pretty hard for him to put it together. Horsepower got scaled out of the cars, obviously.
That 42 car was a trash can, man.
It was terrible. So by the time that Larson was back in competitive equipment, horsepower was taken out of the cars, and that's when he began to excel. So it might just be that his development in the area of racecraft and it becoming natural up here. Because it's not that he has a problem with physically doing it. It's more just it seems like he hates it. He doesn't like it. It's unnatural to him.
No, I agree with you on the aspect of I think this was an amazing race, and I wish the rest of the short tracks were like this season. But I don't agree with you on the fact that Alex Bowman might have better racecraft than Kyle Larson. I think they just grew up doing two different things. I don't agree with what Kyle Larson said at all. That's not what I'm saying here.
No, yeah, I get that. But, I mean, I think what you said about Bowman being a short track asphalt guy actually leans into Bowman probably that being more natural up here, because we talk about dirt guys. Usually they're the more raw talented guys. The asphalt late model type guys are typically racecraft oriented. You kind of see, I was going to bring up Matt Kenseth, but he was dual talented. He did both. So Matt Kenseth is a guy that I think of.
I think that's
a strong suit.
That's another difference that we could talk about in today's racing world from the old racing world. In the old racing world, you had to learn both. I mean,
absolutely.
It was almost a thing. I mean, I could really. It wasn't until that generation with like Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson that you only did one thing. I mean, hell, Jimmy Johnson came from Baja Racing.
Yeah, actually pretty crazy to think that arguably the greatest driver in the sports history, not the greatest driver in sports history, but arguably one of them, or arguably them, came from Baja trucks.
Yeah, but we can have this fight off camera,
we'll hash this out. Yeah. I'm going to beat the hell out of him with my fist, my bare fist. I'm going to beat him up.
But I want to get to the turning points of this race. One thing I would like to highlight before we get to that is we did have the big one early on in the race with Tyler Reddick. We talked about that a little bit. And Zane Smith, we're very high on him on this show, and I think he will be great one day. But God, that was one of the worst ARCA breaks I've seen in my life. And we're going to get to another Spire Motorsports driver later after we talk about the race. But let's get to more of the race.
They sweep our bonehead of the week awards, I'll tell you that much.
So early on in this race, we saw Josh Berry get out to a lead, and then it became very apparent in stage one after Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch had taken the lead when Kyle Busch blew a tire and Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, who were both in the top 5 as well, flew all the way back to 14th and 15th, and Kyle Busch was 31st a lap down. Bubba Wallace also flew to the back.
Yep.
And then Ty Gibbs came up and stole the stage because the young 21-year-olds saved tires better than the veterans.
Isn't that crazy to think about? Because, for instance, we talked about Indianapolis on the prediction show. We talked about how, someone, because obviously we haven't been to the Indy Oval.
Yeah. Will Guy's got a prediction right, by the way, at Las Vegas. He got the Kyle Larson, so he's up 1-0. But go ahead.
But we talked about how we think. Well, he at least thinks that somebody with plenty of experience on the Indianapolis Oval is going to win due to the experience, right? So you would think, translating that logic, that somebody who has experience saving tires would, be the one to figure it out quicker at least. But no, Ty Gibbs seemingly had the drop on everybody. My God, I mean,
I believe Christopher Bell finished second in the stage, which is a guy that we just talked about came from the dirt background.
Ty Gibbs is awesome. We said this during the Phoenix race. So we kind of looked at each other because whenever Ty Gibbs got out there, we talked about oh God, is this going to be the week where he finally wins? And I think you and I agree. Once he wins one, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I picked him to win this race. I've been telling you since the prediction show. You almost looked at me crazy when I said Ty Gibbs was going to win Bristol. I not only said he was going to win, I said he was going to dominate. And if we didn't have this special situation, I damn sure think he would have.
Yeah.
But when we get to stage 2, we're not going to go through all of stage 2, guys, because there's just too much to happen. But it became very apparent that you couldn't run these tires very fast.
No.
Also, another overarching theme in the race was Chase Elliott had a voltage issue, so the fact that he ran as good as he did with that issue with the car power cutting out is a good sign for that 9 team. But I think
actually, by the way, this race in general, very good sign for any people who are very worried about Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
I thought he did a wonderful job this past Sunday of getting a good finish here.
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot stacked against him. I mean, another guy who showed very good discipline, who was stuck back there in like 25th, but showed good discipline at saving the tires and was able to get a top 10 finish out of it. We'll actually run through the top 10 at the end because I want to highlight some of the guys. But here in Stage 2, I think this is where Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex and Brad Keselowski get the drop because they realize, oh, shit, this is going to be like an old-style race.
Yep.
And this is going to be like a Gym 4 race. And these guys, that's when they start saving the tires very well. But who won Stage 2 by passing Denny Hamlin at the end? Here's that kid again, Ty Gibbs. Again.
I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. I'm thinking to myself, it feels right because everyone's been talking about Ty Gibbs for years, right? Yeah. I mean, even before he got to the Xfinity Series, we're all just kind of like, yeah, you know, Ty Gibbs, like this, he's probably the future of the sport. Da, 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 da. But it is crazy sitting there and watching and just thinking, like, yeah, it's not crazy to pick him to win on a given week. It almost feels like Chase Elliott in a way where, like, it took him forever to win, but it was like every race you could kind of go in reasonably thinking, like, yeah, this probably be Chase's week. This could be it right here. Ty Gibbs, I can't say enough about him. He would be my driver of the race if not for, and this spoiler, the person that would end up going on to win this. But I want to bring up another name that you mentioned, Brad Keselowski. And I want to talk about RFK in general, but specifically Brad. Very, very, very worried about them through the first couple races, but Brad's rebounded pretty heavily.
2 top
That 6
5s
car
in
looks
a
fast.
row, man. And not only his teammate, who was kind of low in points too. They're both 13th and 14th in the standings respectively now, comfortably in the playoffs, and probably will get more comfortably as the season goes on. Yeah. But Chris Buescher's last 2 finishes, 2nd and 7th here at Bristol. Brad Keselowski with a 4th and a 3rd the last 2 weeks. And it was looking like if we had about 10 more laps in the run, Truex tires died, Denny Hamlin's died quicker than Brad's.
Yep.
We could have had a Brad Bowman battle for this win.
We absolutely could have, and again, that's why I just wanted to highlight Brad. But I also want to go ahead and take this time to highlight an entire team, because I brought up RFK. I want to talk about an entire team that has just missed the mark the last couple weeks. 2311 has struggled very, very hard. Obviously, I'm the Bubba guy here, so you know, I get my hopes up, especially going into short tracks, going to Bristol, thinking like, not even necessarily thinking that we can win. Oddly enough, I don't go into Bristol thinking we can win, but I go in thinking probable top 10. And obviously,
led 15 laps early.
We saw the speed there. The speed was there, and then he fell off, and then somehow ended up 4 laps down at the end. I still don't know how that happened, quite frankly.
And this might start another argument. I really hope it doesn't. But I think that's something Bubba has improved, made strides as a driver. But I think that is something that he does need to work on, because that's just another thing that, like, for these younger guys, that's why it's so amazing what Ty Gibbs did. That wasn't really a thing when they were coming up, because by the time Bubba kind of got in, you know, when he got to the Cup Series, when he was in the Truck Series, it was a thing.
Absolutely.
But by the time he got there, because, you know, with the whole entire Roush deal, like the way he kind of got screwed or whatever, it kind of took him a little longer to get to the Cup Series. But I think that's something else that he needs to work on with his racecraft, is saving those tires and getting better at that. Because I think that is something that Bubba struggles with, because a lot of weeks we'll see him up here at the beginning of the race. And then I think him and Booty do need to get better on adjusting through the car throughout the race. At Vegas, that wasn't their fault. But these last... In Phoenix, I know he had the incident at the end, but they did miss the setup towards the middle of the race.
Absolutely they did. And obviously the other team that needs work is the 45. Not necessarily even coming down to the driver.
To wreck the damn thing some weeks.
Now it feels like there's just like a monkey on their back, because that 45 car is fast. Tyler Reddick is one of the most talented guys in the field. Like, we talk about raw talent, right? Tyler Reddick is, in my opinion, 1A and 1B with Kyle Larson. Tyler Reddick is stupidly talented.
One sees Christopher Bell. But
that, you know what? My bad. I want to make sure I'm in on that too. Christopher Bell is also ridiculously talented.
I'm going to go ahead and save myself real quick. Tyler Reddick is awesome, but Christopher Bell's better than Tyler Reddick, in my opinion.
Christopher Bell. Did I say something?
If you're going to...
Christopher Bell's the best driver in the field.
This man just hates Kyle Larson today. Damn.
I don't hate Kyle Larson. I love Kyle Larson, actually, funny enough, but I think Christopher Bell might be the best driver in the field.
But there is a team that's struggling way more than 2311, because at least 2311 can show up with some speed some weeks. Well, really every week. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot, whether it's the driver, the crew, or the this Zane Smith. But RCR, what the hell? No speed. Austin Dillon, we kind of expected this because of last season, but we can all both acknowledge here on this show that Austin Dillon has talent and can win races given the right situation. I mean, hell, we saw him win Texas on 2 damn tires a couple of years ago. But
I don't even know what to say about RCR.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, Kyle Busch, I texted you during the race because you were out of town having fun with your lady. But I texted you in the race. Oh, it's about to get rowdy in here because Kyle Busch takes the lead. The next thing I know, nobody telegraphed the tire thing because it was very hush hush. It was not like the '08 Brickyard 400 at all. By the way, whoever's saying that is stupid.
People are really fucking dumb. If you're one of them, I'm gonna beat you up.
We'll get
with
to
my
that
fists.
more in a second. But
probably shouldn't say that while wearing like a Tony Stewart 2002 hat. That's the year he had the incident.
yeah,
with the
man,
reporter.
cameramen everywhere are offended. There's a camera right there. We don't have a cameraman anymore, but it's
Sorry.
right there. But so like. Kyle Busch, after that, like, couldn't keep the tires on the car because the car would not handle anymore. He had to salvage a 25th place finish. And you're thinking, oh, well, at least the other RCR car ran better. Austin Dillon ran 30th all day and then got the 24th.
All right, so now the greater conversation here.
Kyle Busch is on the bubble, by the way, in the points, and Austin Dillon is 30th in points.
What is the future of that team in general? Because like I'm not remotely insinuating that RCR is going away. That's not happening. But you go out, you get Kyle Busch. You kind of think this is a major push to do some big things. This is a major push for a championship. And I almost feel like having Austin Dillon in the other car gave them the flexibility to do that, to go pour everything into one car because look, I'm sure Richard loves his grandson. Nobody's looking at Austin Dillon and saying, yeah, you're going to make the round of 12. So Kyle Busch, on the other hand, you think to yourself, yeah, championship, right? That's just the logical conclusion. I don't see these. Okay, Kyle Busch is going to make the playoffs. He's going to figure that out.
Is he?
I think he is.
There's another driver in the field that we're talking about not making the playoffs that we'll get to in a second, but like
he's too good not to.
Kyle
right?
Busch will not be able to point his way into the playoffs with how
No,
they're running.
he does have to win.
He will win a race, I think. I agree with you. The 3 team will be so far removed from the playoffs we'll forget Austin Dillon's in the field, and we'll have to go watch reruns of Austin Dillon life in the fast lane to get our Austin Dillon fix.
I love that show, so it's okay.
Where am I going to get my Austin Dillon fix? Nobody wants that. Why the hell did they give
Do
a
you
reality
remember
show?
when he avoided that wreck? He did it so masterfully.
The one wreck he avoided that entire season.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I really don't know. I think, in my personal opinion, Jesse Love, I know he's the future of RCR. I mean, you both agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that you could wait to put Austin Dillon in a front office role because I think the issue is with a teammate, you need somebody that's going to be competitive, run up towards the front. Let's throw Austin Hill in the damn thing and see what he can do because we got him sitting down here. He's running up towards the front in the Xfinity Series. You know, at some point, Pop's got to make a tough decision here. We've done it with Ty Dillon. We got to do it with Austin. Unless Austin, you know, we still both agree that he has talent. Maybe he can find the lightning in the bottle like he did in 2020, 2018, 2017. Or his best season, which most people forget, 2016. Where he was literally top 10 in points the entire season. Got 12th because of a wreck at Charlotte. But, like, I think you need to get somebody in that car that's competitive like Kyle each week. I know Austin Hill's not going to quite be able to do that, but maybe something different in that car, at least where he's running up front at the super speedways, get another car in the playoffs, can help Kyle. Because, I mean, at some point, something else might come open for Kyle. And
I'm
you
just
might
going
lose
to be
him.
honest. I don't think Austin Hill would be any better than Austin Dillon.
We don't know.
I don't think Austin Hill. This is a football term. This is a late kick term. I don't think Austin Hill meets the freeze point to make that car any better than it is.
I'm going to argue again real quick. I'm sorry. Austin Hill, damn good super speedway racer. We know that. But another guy that grew up on those short tracks. And in the 16 car for Tory Racing, which eventually became a championship team, he kind of got, well, Brett Moffitt did it first when he won the championship. But when they lost all their sponsorship and Austin Hill came in, you know, he got that team off the ground, and he was running great at short tracks like Bristol. He can carry a car, at least a truck. Now, obviously, doing it in the Truck Series and doing it in the Cup Series, it's a totally different damn thing.
Fair point, but didn't Austin Dillon win a truck championship?
He did.
So we talk about
But
Austin
the amount
Dillon
of
having
races that Austin Dillon and Austin Hill won. Also, you got to think about field talent back then because the field was, even the truck series was just truck drivers. Cup drivers, I'm sorry. We thought that Jeb Burton was a hot prospect back then.
Ooh, that is true. Yeah, it was a lot harder to come across.
James Busher won a truck championship, man.
Okay.
James Busher
that's a fair
got
point.
screwed, but like he was.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you.
yeah.
I can at least track with you at that point, but I will say, personally, I
don't know that he would or wouldn't. I'm just saying Austin Hill deserves more credit here.
well, look, I just need some help because I'm really mad. I'm upset. I need something to calm me down. I need somebody to talk some sense into me. Maybe a story.
You want
Personally?
a story?
I think I want a story. You know what I think I want?
What?
I want a moment.
Get
with
the hell out
Matt.
of my frame.
I got you.
All right, guys.
Come on in. Hey, center stage.
Come in, children. Come in. You don't talk this week. Everybody's getting sick of that shit. All right. So, the National Guard is going to be in the headlines this week. We're going to get to it in a second because we still got to talk about stage 3 of this race because we've been damn rambling. That's why we needed to calm it down. But, did y'all know that there was a National Guard driver before Dale Jr.? Before Greg Biffle? Hell, before Ron Hornaday? I know this because as a kid, my granddad, my dad's dad, love you, daddy, was in the National Guard. His name was Ron Alverson. Sadly passed away in 2011, a great man. But he got to take a picture in front of the 54 National Guard Ford as a member of the service. Thank you to all the men and women serving. But Todd Badine, as I like to say, drove the National Guard car first. Did Todd Badine do very good? No. But you know what Todd Badine was? A damn good Xfinity racer and a damn good truck racer. 2-time truck champion Todd Badine. Some people will argue you, outside of Kyle Busch, that he is the greatest truck driver of all time. To that, I will say, go screw yourself. It's Ron Hornaday. But the debate we need to be having is who's the second greatest of all time. It's Mike Skinner. Go screw yourself again if you think it's Todd Badine. But Todd Badine, it is Todd Badine. Fourth best is Johnny Benson. Go screw yourself if you think it's Matt Crafton. And the fifth best is Johnny Sauter. Matt Crafton doesn't even make the frickin' list. All right? I'm getting sick of that shit. But let me tell you something else. Todd Badine actually made his final start in 2022 as a very old man in the truck series. And by the way, he ran top 10 at Pocono. What the hell, Todd Badine? Let some of the kids eat. Let them cook, as Kevin Harvick would say, all right? But Todd Badine carved out a legacy, maybe a Hall of Famer due to his truck series career. We put Ron Hornaday in the Hall of Fame just based on his 4 truck series championships alone. He is better than Todd Badine, you idiots. All right, guys, that's enough out of me. Guys, go support the National Guard. Terrell Newble is also in the National Guard. He hates these videos because he says we need to talk about Sexy Red or something. Freaking idiot. What the hell's wrong with you? You're as dumb as those bozos that think that Todd Badine's better than Ron Hornaday.
And that's really dumb.
But Todd Badine will always have a spot in the sport. His brother Jeff was better, and we don't talk about Brett. Brett might not have won North Wilkesboro. Go Daryl, but Todd Badine, thank you. This has been a moment with Matt. I love you guys, genuinely. Let's hope this guy doesn't argue with me anymore before I get all heated and we have to do a second one of these. All right, let's get into stage 3 of the
Brett
race.
Badine absolutely did win at North Wilkesboro.
Oh, you want to?
Literally, the entire thing was that the error was that they had him a lap on the field. He wasn't a lap on the field. He was.
No, Brett Badine won, guys.
Brett
That was a
Badine
joke.
absolutely won that race. Larry McReynolds got him to victory lane.
And we will
in
not
that
be
race.
talking about Sexy Red on this show.
No, not a damn other time. But we have 2 more topics because we got to
Well-
talk about stage 3 and we got to talk about the big thing.
Yeah, that they don't know about yet. As we get into stage 3 here, it came very apparent that we didn't think we were going to get a long green flag run, and then all of a sudden we did. And then
We got one, and it was some of the most fascinating NASCAR TV I've watched in years.
yeah, and actually, a guy you brought up, Alex Bowman, who deserves even more of a highlight because he actually kept the tires on the car the longest, but the issue was he lost time doing so it made him fall back to 4th. Brad
Yeah.
stayed out a little longer, made him fall back to 3rd. But the race came down to 3 names. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, so funny enough, I forgot I was going to talk about poor Carson Hocevar. Yeah, he's my bonehead of the race. Mainly because my brother in Christ tried to purposefully bring out a caution by slamming the wall and then driving 35 miles an hour around the racing surface.
Freddie Kraft was not pleased.
No, Freddie Kraft was an upset man. I was going to say young man. He's not a young man, but...
Yeah, Bubba told him some things on the radio.
Yeah, Bubba was not happy this week. But look, at the end of the day, no. This race did come down to 3 names. But funny enough, one of them was not Carson Hocevar. Get it together.
My bad, man.
We have a platform and you're wasting it.
All right, so we came down to Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., 2 of the oldest veteran guys in the sport, because Ty Gibbs, sadly, the luck ran out. He blew a tire, but he fought back for 9th after blowing a tire. Damn good drive by Ty Gibbs. That win's coming. But
it is. Very soon.
It looked like Denny Hamlin had it, and then all of a sudden he hits lap traffic, and Martin Truex Jr. makes the pass.
Man. Also, by the way, actually really like the Denny Hamlin express oil change.
Yes, the redemption for Denny paint schemes this week.
Denny Hamlin, to me, this week proved again why he is the main character of this sport.
Because what would he do to Martin Truex?
Well, gosh darn it. He'd pass him back. He'd make an aggressive move to pass him
and
back.
And then
actually,
with 2 or 3 to go, it looked like we were still going to get the battle because Martin was coming back, and then the tires died on the 19. He was still able to hang on for second. But Denny Hamlin on that 11 car, the tires would never die, and he would point to the crowd.
Give us one of the best photos in recent memory in NASCAR. The one of him standing on the car pointing at the crowd from behind him. That photo rules. Denny Hamlin's awesome, man. I'm happy. I have to relish in it. The boss man won, even though, you know, my team's actual cars finished 29th and 30th.
And I want to bring back something from the lost episode real quick because I actually can do it this week for sure. I can name the entire top 10, so let's see if we can do it real quick.
Go.
Denny Hamlin finished first, Martin Truex second, Brad Keselowski third, Alex Bowman fourth, who we've already talked about. Those 4 guys, great job by them. 5th place, we had Kyle Larson, who accidentally finished 5th, according to him. And in 6th place, one more guy I want to highlight real quick because everybody else in the top 10 we've highlighted. John Hunter Nemechek ran the entire race in the top 5. Another young guy that just showed great job saving the tires. A great run for Legacy Motor Club because we thought anybody was going to do this at Bristol would be Eric Jones.
Yeah.
But great job by John Hunter Nemechek. Looking for more good runs out of that 42 team who are in the playoffs right now. In 14th in the standings. Then we got in 6th place was John Hunter. Yeah. 7th place was Chris Buescher. 8th place Chase Elliott. 9th place Ty Gibbs. And 10th place Christopher Bell.
I was trying to do the numbers with my fingers. It didn't quite work out.
Sorry, but just an amazing race. Actions were definitely not detrimental this week. And if you think that was like the 2008 Brickyard 400,
go die.
Go die.
Don't die. That's not cool.
You go and you hurt yourself.
No, don't
do that.
Do that.
But
go and just think. Sit in the corner and think. Sit by the garbage and think.
Think.
You know what I actually want to think about?
The thing?
So...
Wait.
What? Whoa.
That might be the coolest driver announcement ever. We got to give them 3 lame ones real quick. AJ, Outlook on Coda this week. We got some new drivers in the field. Shane Van Gisbergen. Said it right again. Do the thing. The ow.
Oh, I forgot about ow.
It will be in the 16 for Colleague Racing. Kobayashi will be in the 50 for your boys, 2311. And Colleague did the right thing, brought a 3rd car for AJ Allmendinger, so we're going to get to have some fun.
Top 3 incoming.
But Carl Long and NBM Motorsports is back. My rant worked.
Wait, what?
Timmy Hill will be at Coda. My rant, guys.
Never mind. There will not be a top 3. Timmy Hill is going to win this race by many, many laps. So much so, everyone else is just going to concede. There's going to be no finishing order. It's just going to be one car.
But
it's going to be Timmy Hill.
I think we'll see some great road course action this week. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe Goodyear brings a tire that'll give us some fun.
Maybe so.
I mean, my pick's Tyler Reddick. His pick's Kyle Larson because he can envision the car coming across the line. What an idiot, but it worked once, right? All right, let's get to the thing. I'm going to let you lead us in.
All right. So you teed it up. One of the coolest teasers to an announcement that I've ever seen. A video was posted of a man walking towards a camera screen. You can see his legs, you can see his shoes, and eventually
his alpine shoes.
Yes, his alpine shoes. And then he would bend down to adjust his pant leg, which clearly had National Guard on the side. In fact, it was a very familiar looking pant leg.
That's why we talked about the National Guard and the moment back.
I mean, the gloves looked really familiar too.
They had were they maybe kind of like our logo that
they were
at Bricasso made?
They were the They were like the skeleton gloves that at Bricasso made sure to include in our logo.
Follow her. Maybe go like some of her stuff.
Guys, is this who we think it is? Wait. Whoa.
We didn't cover the truck race. For one quick second, guys, I know I'm pissing him off because he has to edit this damn thing. Christian,
Go, do it.
It was an incredible truck race.
It was.
Another one at Bristol. How about Christian Eckes making the pass on Kyle Busch late in the going, stealing it away from him, and then we get a fight between Nick Sanchez and Stuart Friesen on pit road. What the hell is wrong with you, Nick Sanchez? Pissing off these middle-aged men that couldn't make it past the truck series, Matt Crafton and Stuart Friesen. Stuart Friesen, very talented Turk guy. Matt Crafton, middling truck driver that lucked his way into some championships. Thank you very much. And by the way, one more thing while talking about the truck series. Ron Hornaday is the greatest truck series driver of all time. If you think something else, you should go in the corner and cry.
Personally, I think it's Ben Rhodes. But before we get into any more trouble,
No.
that will conclude a jam-packed episode of The Shifter. As always, we thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes just like this and more non-shifter videos soon to come to the channel. It's been a packed 2024 for us so far, but we have content coming your way. So, again, we just appreciate the viewership, and we really do hope we can just bring you guys the best product possible. So, that being said, I'm Will.
And I'm Matt.
And this has been The Shifter.
I don't have a shifter. We got to fix that.